Emma Watson, the nasty diva. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. I have provided you with considered evidence in relation to the behaviours of Emma Watson. I explained to you how she has operated in an entitled fashion. I've demonstrated her numerous hypocrisies. I analysed the spat between her and J.K. Rowling, where J.K. Rowling effectively eviscerated her with her most recent ex-post on the matter. I have also explained how she behaves, for want of a better description, whereby she's up her own backside, propelled by her belief that she is special and unique. It's also the case that she's attracted the label of diva, and a nasty one at that. In some respects, diva is used to describe a celebrated female opera singer or a famous female singer of popular music, and in that respect, it is a compliment. But it has also come to be used in a different sense. One which actually is used more often and is more stigmatic, for it is referencing a self-important person who is temperamental and difficult to please, and it's typically used in relation to women. And when it comes to Emma Watson, she once again has manifested and created evidence of behaviour that would attract the mantle of diva by demonstrating that she's temperamental and that she has a sense of self-importance, but also a nastiness with it also. For example, back in 2008, she pushed an extra on the set of Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. The extra claimed that Watson aggressively pushed through a crowd of background actors shouting, "Excuse me, I'm coming through," and nearly knocked a young girl into the mud. When she was confronted about her behaviour, she snapped, "How dare you talk to me like that?" This was highlighting her diva attitude on set, that she was more important than people around her, to the extent that she felt like she could announce that she was coming through and shove people out of the way without due regard for the impact upon them. She ignored fans at the Perks of Being a Wallflower premiere in 2012. Fans at the premiere chanted to get her attention, but she gave them just a brief glance before haughtily walking past them without waving or acknowledging them. One attendee described it as pretty nasty, especially given the fact that she had become famous as a consequence of the abilities of others rather than her own right. She demanded isolation from extras on the Harry Potter sets. Multiple extras from Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince reported that Watson insisted that nobody approach her, that nobody speak to her, and this created a barrier of discomfort. It was seen as a stark contrast to her public, shy and sweet image, which appears to be a facade, labelling her behaviour as outright rude. Again, believing that she is entitled to treat people this way, that she is self-important, that she is the main individual on set, and that the extras are basically nobodies, whereby she can state, "You're not to approach me, you're not to talk to me," as if she was some goddess-like figure set to one side, above and apart everybody else. She engaged in diva behaviour at the Elle Style Awards in 2017, where Watson kept organisers waiting for 90 minutes for her arrival to accept the Woman of the Year award, and then she refused to walk the red carpet, appearing disinterested in the event. Once again, self-important and dismissive. In 2017, a fan approached Watson in London for a photo while she was with her boyfriend, but she rolled her eyes, snapped, "Do I look like I want to be photographed?" and then stormed off. Whilst, of course, famous people are repeatedly approached by fans, and it can become tiresome, the fact is that if you have made your money and you have gained a career as a consequence of putting yourself in the public eye, It is an unwritten aspect of the contract that you're going to have to put up with people approaching you. Now, it's one thing to deal with a member of the public, a supposed fan, who is rude to you and intrusive, for instance, coming and knocking on your door or doorstepping you as you leave your house. But if you happen to be walking along the street and somebody recognises you and they approach you politely, asking for a selfie, asking for a photograph, asking for an autograph, then naturally many famous people understand that it comes with the territory and they're happy to respond, or they'll explain that they're not in a position to do so and do so politely rather. However, as you've just heard, in relation to Watson, she's dismissive and sees herself as far more important, being rude to the fan by asking, "Do I look like I want to be photographed?" and then just storming off. She scolded Robert Pattinson on the Goblet of Fire set in 2005. A resurfaced clip shows a teenage Watson sharply calling Pattinson rude for repeatedly mispronouncing her name during filming. She snaps at him, "That's rude, actually." And her tone was unnecessarily harsh. He's made a mistake, and while she might be irked by that, she could, of course, politely point out that he's getting her name wrong. But once again, she shows the haughty dismissiveness for which she has become well known by responding in this fashion. I've mentioned it previously, but it's well worth mentioning again in respect of demonstrating her diva behaviour, that she demanded rehearsals in London for La La Land in 2016. She was offered the lead in the Oscar-winning musical, but made crazy demands, including relocating rehearsals to London, despite the film's Los Angeles setting. This was actually accommodated, but once again, it's demonstrative of her diva and self-important behaviour, and ultimately she passed, citing that it wasn't right for her. She argued with film bosses as a teen. Back in 2007, she started complaining about her work and arguing with the film bosses on Harry Potter sets, earning early diva labels, again for her self-importance. She was testier than her co-stars, demanding changes that disrupted production, once again, believing herself to be more important than anybody else. She's been known for having an excessive entourage on set. The crew on Deathly Hallows mocked Watson's posse of handlers escorting her everywhere, calling it needy divaness. Unlike stars like Steve Martin, who travel solo, her large team was seen as over the top for a young actor, creating unnecessary barriers with people and inviting ridicule for diva-like behaviour. She exhibited dismissal of critics on Pay Gap from 2016, where she was labelled difficult and a diva for advocating equal pay in Hollywood. Watson framed it as gendered sexism in interviews. However, her reputation stemmed from real demands like special accommodations, alienating producers who saw it as self-serving rather than a principled support of equal pay. She demanded private photo sessions at an awards session in 2017. She insisted on photos only in a special room with her chosen photographer. Organisers labelled it diva tactics, as she avoided mingling with other stars, despite being the honoree. She was known for being moody and late on the Deathly Hallows set in 2009. Production sources described her as even more moody than usual, frequently complaining, arriving late and upsetting cast and crew with rudeness. One staffer noted that she'd become a big diva, contrasting sharply with the more easygoing attitudes of Radcliffe and Grint. A number of examples of the diva-like behaviour and nastiness of Emma Watson, which evidently stems from a belief that she's far more important than everybody else around her, that she is special, that she is unique, that she deserves to receive special treatment because of who she is. But when you look at who she is, she's a relatively mediocre actress who got lucky by playing the part of Hermione Granger, which resulted in her receiving worldwide fame, adoration, and wealth. Her films post-Harry Potter demonstrate that she's not a particularly accomplished actress, and demonstrates how fortunate she was to secure the role of Hermione Granger. And yet, this clearly has passed her by. Could it be that as a consequence of the fame and wealth, it's all just gone to her head, and she's capable of redemption? Or are we actually seeing, as the evidence stacks up, an individual who actually does believe her own propaganda, that operates with a fundamental sense of entitlement, that she believes that she's special and unique and that she merits such special treatment, that it's actually an intrinsic part of her personality, and the fame and exposure are simply exposing what is already there. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.